The Indiana Fever got their first win without Caitlin Clark as she missed her third game with her quad injury. The Fever beat the Washington Mystics 85-75, a little revenge on the team that beat them 2 games ago. This was the Aari McDonald game, which was a bit of a surprise. She was huge for them last night. They had just signed her using a hardship waiver because you have the injury to Caitlin, you have the injury to Sophie Cunningham. Sid Colson was also dealing with an injury, although she did play. And then it was about midway through the first quarter, Sid Colson went head-to-head with, I think it was with Brittany Sykes. And next thing I know, she's gushing blood. We had a blood situation, infectious disease stoppage on the court. She has blood coming out of her nose. They're like, well, good thing the Fever just signed Aari McDonald. This is Aari McDonald, actually. So once she gets in, she's doing everything. And this was a charge that Aari McDonald took yesterday. And I feel like that tonally is so perfect. And you have Caitlin and Aaliyah Boston on the bench giving their support of it. But that charge that Aari McDonald took, along with some other charges she took, the immediate impact she had in terms of stabilizing their offense. She's a true point guard. What have we been saying during the stretch without Caitlin Clark? God, the Fever are desperate for more ball handlers. They got one in Aari McDonald. Again, she's only there on a hardship waiver for the time being. They would have to make some decisions if they wanted to keep her on the roster. But I found myself watching Aari McDonald and having that classic WNBA experience of being like, how on earth does she not have a permanent home in the league right now? She was so good last night. Almost immediately, she's a part of a 10-0 run from the Fever that I thought tonally helped them really establish some confidence early on. She had a steal, take the other direction. She had some really nice passes. She had a wraparound pass to DeWanna Bonner that just looked like a high-level, high-execution type play that is exactly the kind of thing that helps open up the entirety of the Fever offense to play with more confidence. And Kelsey Mitchell had her shot falling early. She had 23 points last night. Lexie Hull was huge in the second half. The Fever were able to use I think it was a 31-point third quarter, which gave them enough space that when the Mystics started making a run in the fourth, it was too late, too much for them to ultimately overcome. But, man, Aari McDonald, I think what was her stat line? 7 points, 5 assists, 3 steals, but her impact was so much more than that last night.
Led the team in assists in that game. The team overall got back to sharing the ball. I think they had, 23 assists on 30 made field goals or something like that. And it was good to see. When I got back to the house, it was on. And so
NBA TV, thank you for having every Fever game on.
I will say I need to see it more than once, right? Like this feels like one of those times. It feels like it could be one of those things, not to discredit her incredible game,
right?
But it feels like it could be one of those things where we hadn't seen her on this team, so
yes,
the Mystics were caught a little off guard by some of the things she was doing. But once people start learning tendencies and things like that, then is there a counter to it? What does she do off of that? So just curious I'll need to see it more than once. But having an additional ball handler on that roster would do them a whole hell of a lot of good. You can't keep pounding Caitlin Clark into the ground. As dynamic as she is, there will be moments where you need to get her off the ball. And McDonald does free up Mitchell to be off of the ball. And I think that's why she played as well as she did. She wasn't having to try and facilitate. I still don't like the way that they're using Aaliyah Boston in this moment. I do think that you can throw the ball to Aaliyah
run the offense
in the high post and say, all right, here we go, everybody, let's start playing ball.
Yeah.
But if that's not what you're going to do, you're going to need an additional ball handler, and she works in that position. I don't know who they end up letting go.
Sid Colson was playing well in the beginning of that game, and she
back off
another
injury.
One of those older players back off injury. But Aari just plays with the tempo that I think is so important to that Fever team. And you bring up a great point. Never be a prisoner of the moment to one game. Like, that's not how this works. And she was playing like her career depended on it because she doesn't have a home. Like, she knows even if the Fever ultimately don't find a place for her, and I know there were like overwhelming cries for, please, is there any way that we can find a spot for her on the roster? And that would require waiving another player. And I'm not sure they need, if their guards are all healthy, I'm not sure the point guard position is the place where they want to utilize one of those down the bench roster places. But for Aari McDonald, like, she can find a place somewhere else now. Like, this is how that all works. So it will be interesting. From that game as well, just want to shout out my USC Trojan because I continue to be overwhelmingly impressed with Kiki. She is phenomenal. She is giving such Asia Wilson flashes, and that's a huge comparison, but that's what we do early in a rookie career. Like, who does this player remind you of? She's reminding you of Asia Wilson, and that's really not a stretch considering how well she's playing, how well she's scoring the ball. Where was this at USC? And I am not saying that Kiki wasn't delivering at USC. I have put all of my attention, all of my glaring on Lindsay Gottlieb, who I had some issues with throughout the season, period. But the fact that she could not find a way to highlight both Juju and Kiki in that USC offense, and I know like USC was a 1 seed. They were a great team. Juju goes down. They end up losing in the tournament. I don't want to say that they underperformed because they were a 1 seed, but watching that team, it was very much Juju or bust, and I feel like there could have been such a more cohesive offense if they were able to use both of them in the way that it's now appearing Kiki was capable of doing. She's been tremendous. She had 20 points last night.
So would you let Coach Gottlieb go?
Yes, I've already said that.
Okay.
But not right now.
Okay.
Give her one more year. Juju's out. See what comes. But they also lost all those freshmen, decided to transfer out, like the ones who were young on the team and expected to be kind of the leaders, and not all of them. But anyway, there's some decisions to be made.
Well, it's that I find that thought real interesting. Real interesting for somebody who's like, no, you can't let Tibbs go. Look at all the things.
I fought Chris last night because I said in the NBA we do this so much more casually than the NFL, and he was like, no, we don't. And I was like, tell me the last NFL coach who made it to a conference championship game and got fired after it. And he's like, oh, there's got to be one really soon. And I was like, no. And the only one I could find, Marty Schottenheimer. Yeah. Find me another. I just think we're a little casual with the fire trigger.
I understand.
They make a lot of money. It's not like I'm worried for their future.
But you're ready to let a coach go who was a number 1 seed. And what were they the year before that? Weren't they like a number 1 seed
Did I say
again?
to fire her right now?
You said you were ready to let her go.
No, I literally just said give her one more year.
I think
and we'll see what she does without Juju Watkins.
You're trying to fight the most right. You're trying to fight the furthest right.
I hate when I try to fight the right.
Don't fight the right. You never win. You never win. You can be good, but not good enough.
All right.
The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, live every weekday at 8 a.m.